because this video is more hardcore. Please be mentally prepared before watching. Can you believe the wooden fish in front of you? Is it from a neighboring country? This Taoist musical instrument originated in my country, being developed in neighboring countries. When the mark is left, will be known by more neighbors. But this tradition originated in the Tang dynasty. The frequency of occurrence in the country seems to be decreasing year by year. This is not alarmist. You can ask people around you. Most people won't know. Tug of war has been successful. They applied for it to be an intangible cultural heritage, and a culture that only existed for 13 years. I can also apply to become a lantern festival. If you say, it has nothing to do with the lantern festival lanterns in China. So I want to say, even if the history is 10,000 years, they also have only one kind of lamp left, called the square lamp, instead of Zigong lantern. Everyone has heard of Li Ziki. He made a batch of kimchi. There are more than 200,000 comments under his video. The kimchi that is called kimchi was invented by Koreans. If this isn't anything, well, everybody cheer up. Let me tell you the deep meaning of vomiting blood in the airway. The court music was well meant by them. The musical instrument used was actually the chime bells of the Warring States period in my country. You are quite calm, right? Then there will be another explosion. What's even more ridiculous is that movable type printing has also been nominated for World Heritage status. As for the Bagua diagram, it was once applied for World Heritage status. I just don't have much information. And with a realistic attitude. I only know that I didn't realize success at that time. Secondly, the wooden structure is also well thought out. But they are not called Sunmao, the great carpenter. Almost exactly the same as Sunmao. Chopsticks were also mentioned by their netizens. Dumplings 24 solar terms. Oil paper umbrella, compendium of materia medica and Li Bai. There are also a lot of traditional Chinese culture. It has been mentioned. If you know Chinese, I think Tang poetry has been successfully translated. There are many traditional Chinese cultures, they have all mentioned. Japan once stopped paying membership fees. Is it useful? But it isn't. But who made the voice organization in Korea? But Japan is very good at packaging itself. For example, the Japanese tea ceremony, sumo karate, ninja. They will invest a certain amount of money every year to strongly support. Because these traditional cultures that have been successfully nominated for World Heritage, it seems to be gradually appear in their students' textbooks. I'm just worried that after a few decades, they really think these traditional cultures were invented by them. It's not impossible. After all, it has already started to appear in their reading materials. Take the wooden fish in front of us for example. Ask some kids. Maybe they don't know what it is. But it is appearing more and more in neighboring countries, with the attitude of popularizing science. Today I will tell you about the history and production process of wooden fish, with the wood surface undo completed. Formal inner cutting, mainly to achieve the hollow effect. Here I will tell you the history of wooden fish. The wooden fish is a Taoist instrument that originated in the Tang dynasty. There is such a description in the ancient book, Records of the Taoism of Successive Dynasties. The sword worn by the Suzhou sword officer is 3 feet long. Its shape is like iron, slightly purple, like bluestone. Guanyin carved scroll. Dai Farron can do what he can. Ask in detail. There are also relevant records about Buddhist wooden fish. Long walk day and night. The reason why the guest's pictographic machine is dark and shadowy. The main function of wooden fish is to calm people down. Preventing monks from falling asleep while sitting can be crazy. Of course, this is also an instrument in Foyu's performance. Next, the workers began to grind and polish the surface. To achieve optimal smoothness, workers need to process the surface multiple times. Every uneven position needs to be polished. Fall, so to speak. The grinding process is the most time-consuming part. This step requires continuous movement of the hands. Next, we will start processing the inside of the wooden fish. Each tap improves the sound a little bit. Workers need to be experienced. Constantly adjust the internal structure. Now let's listen to the sound of knocking the wooden fish. Crisper and brighter. After the last fine mucosa is done on the surface, it begins to leave marks on the surface. Get here. The general shape of a wooden fish is completed. There are all kinds of wooden fish in front of you. To make the surface look more beautiful, still need to color. At first glance, it looks like a big leader. This is just the first step. A second coloring will be done later. Now the added color on the surface can be understood as after the primer is fully absorbed into the wood. You can wipe it clean, set aside and wait for natural drying. The color has changed significantly compared to the original. This small room is kept at a constant temperature. It needs to be kept at a certain temperature. Temperature is too high or too low may affect the later service life. After drying for more than an hour, ready to start secondary coloring. The color will become darker each time you apply it. The surface needs to be wiped before coloring begins, to remove impurities and surface color. This is also for the second color. Color lasts longer. In comparison, the second coloring looks more detailed. Use a small brush and keep brushing. Place it in the room. Prepare for final natural drying. The color alone is very textured. The surface color is somewhat similar to mahogany. The above is the whole process of making wooden fish. Next, let the master show us. This is the end. I hope that more and more traditional culture can to gain attention. In this way, in future textbooks, you won't be bothered by controversial issues.